Sari Kimbell. I'm the creator of Food Business Success, and I help package food businesses start their passionate idea or grow it into a profitable business. So I am going over my top 10 mistakes here on Instagram Live. And so I call it my top 10 mistakes that food producers make and how to avoid them. So I've been doing a couple on Instagram Live, scattered throughout the week here. So if you missed the first two, they were on not loving your product and not pricing your product correctly to actually make a profit. So those are on IGTV from last week, or you can also go to my YouTube channel. Thanks everybody for jumping on. This is great to have so many people on here. All right, well, let's talk about the next two mistakes. We have mistake 3, which is not having a plan for growing your sales. And I really wanted to revisit this whole top 10 list because I created it a year and a half ago, and I've worked with so many more clients and so many more types of products now. And now we're in like this COVID pandemic, what the hell's going on kind of world, and everything's changing. So I think it's good to look at these things through a new lens. So this one in particular is really, really crucial. So I actually was just on a call with a potential client. She scheduled a free 30-minute call with me, and she had 2 business ideas. And so we were trying to talk through which one is a better idea and why. But what we certainly did learn from COVID is it's really important to have a diversified strategy. So the more avenues, the more sales channels you have, the better off your product is going to be. Because let's just say you were only in food service and then food service shuts down practically overnight. People were really scrambling in that area. So I'm good friends with the gal Lori from Moulet's, who's a sausage company. They make meatballs and different kind of sausages and things like that. And she's been talking to me about how they are so fortunate that they got their Amazon set up ahead of all of this. And you wouldn't think a sausage company, frozen sausage, could do Amazon, but you can. They're also in grocery as well as food service. So just because one sales channel shut down, they were able to switch things over really quickly, and they already had a plan for e-commerce and some of those other avenues. So let's just start from the beginning. We'll take any kind of business. You have to think about, if you're just starting out, you want a short-term strategy for sales. And usually that's a farmer's market, or maybe it's some small e-commerce, or you're going to try to get into some small local stores. So that's kind of your first strategy for sales. And so you want to think about those different avenues. I love people to start at farmers markets. I know that they're changing. They have changed under our current pandemic, but they are still happening, and it is still possible for you to be in a farmer's market. So that may be one place that you want to check out. The problem is that many markets don't allow sampling right now. And so if you're a brand new business, especially if it's kind of a unique business, you have to kind of get creative. And so one of the things I've suggested to people is finding partners to collaborate with and have them put your samples in product that they're already selling. So like a bag, let's say you're a jam company, find a bread company where people are going to buy bread even if they can't taste it ahead of time, but give them little samples with some marketing information that they could put inside a customer's bag of their bread that they just purchased. And that way they can try your jam at home and then come back and find you at the farmer's market. So they're changing a little bit, but I still think it's a great place to launch your product and get feedback. It's like a paid focus group almost. So farmers markets is one sales channel. And then, of course, e-commerce is another. I always work on Shopify. I put all my clients on Shopify. I love it. It generally works. The $29 version works for the most part, although I have some clients where we're having to do some paid apps, but it is really built for e-commerce. So, and it's fairly easy to use. I can help you with some basic back-end setup, but all of my clients, we set them up on Shopify, so I really like that site. But you are going to have to figure out how to get people to your site. It's one thing to just put up a site, but I have a lot of people who are like, well, where are all the people? Why aren't they coming? So this is all about that plan for growth. Like, once you've exhausted your friends and family and you've asked your friends and family to buy off of your site, how are you going to get new people to that site? And so a lot of that is around your social media. Sometimes you need to do paid advertising, working with influencers, having engaging audiences and posts and things like that. So, and an email list. Super important that you're collecting emails. Always do that for all my clients so that we can email them directly. You own those customers, and that's definitely what you want, to be able to send them emails with specials and recipes and give them value added. Okay, so that was e-commerce. We talked about farmers markets. And then, of course, there's wholesale. I got a little list over here. Make sure I cover it all. So wholesale. So there really is this unspoken language that a lot of people just don't know. Like, there's no reason why you should know it. You're not in the food industry. But there's all of these terms when you go into wholesale that can be a little bit shocking when you find out what they are. I work with clients and we apply to go into Sprouts or Natural Grocers or Whole Foods. And I swear I tell them these things ahead of time, but I don't know that they always stick. And then they ask me, what's a free fill? Or what's a scan back? Or what's a P10? And so there are all of these terms that we use in the food industry. So super important that you have a guide to help you understand what you're getting yourself into. And we make sure that you have the dollars set aside to do that. It is an investment to go into wholesale. But wholesale could be into grocery stores. It could be into gift stores, coffee shops. And of course also into food service, so that's another avenue to consider. Do you make a product that you could repackage into a bigger container, like with Diane with the Bitter Doctor is on here. We've talked about taking her 2-ounce bitters and making a 4-ounce larger size for restaurants would be an example of that. So how can you make that larger size? So you just really want to think about diversifying your sales channel. Now that said, if you're just starting out, all of these things I'm saying are going to be you're going to get overwhelmed really, really quickly if you try to do all of them at once. So make a plan to do one thing and get that nailed and get that dialed in, and then add the next thing and then add the next thing. The worst thing you can do is just be like, I'm so overwhelmed and I do a little bit on this and a little bit on this and a little bit on this, and then nothing ever actually gets done. Thanks, Diane. And then, of course, lastly are your marketplaces. Amazon being the largest marketplace. We know that 50% of searches and e-commerce purchases are done on Amazon. Experts are estimating that it's actually probably closer to 70% during these times of COVID. So it is really important for you to be on that platform, but I recommend either you go with a Amazon e-commerce strategy to begin with, or you go with a wholesale strategy to begin with. If you try to do both and really you're not going to be able to do both of them well. So kind of pick a lane, and then you can always add and layer on the other one after you get good at the other one. So Amazon, tons to learn there. I often hear, the comment like, just get it on Amazon and I'll be making all this money. And that's not the way it works. I highly encourage you to join me. I'm doing a live workshop with Shannon Roddy. He's an Amazon expert, and we're doing a pricing for profit workshop on July 16th. And the link is in the bio here on Instagram to get registered for that. But we're gonna talk about pricing for both wholesale and for Amazon and give you a ton of Amazon tips. So if you are thinking about going to Amazon, definitely do seek out some help with that. But it is a great platform. There are other marketplace apps or web platforms as well. Ones like Goldbelly or Bubble or Good Eggs. These are food marketplaces that they're doing a lot of the marketing for you. Your product's listed on their website. So they're bringing more people to the site, and people can shop and fill a larger basket than just with your one product. But then you're shipping from your warehouse or your home or wherever. So those are just some ways that you can diversify your sales channel, which is super important, that you do have multiple ways that you're selling your products. But again, be careful that you don't overwhelm yourself. So do one or two, and then do another one, and do another one, do another one. But having that short-term plan of like a 6 to 12-month plan, and then also what's our plan for growth, and because sometimes these things do take a really long time. So we had Savannah Sweet Tea asked the names of the marketplaces. So Goldbelly is one of them. Bubble is a great one, and Good Eggs are a couple off the top of my head there. There's also some wholesale marketplaces. So these are for wholesale buyers, so not direct to consumer, but similar to like those other ones, like a website marketplace, but for wholesale buyers. And those two are Fair and Hubba. So those are the two wholesale that you could check out. Super important that you don't just stagnate. You can be really, I like to say, like, you can be really successful at a farmer's market, but there's only going to be so many that you can attend, and you're going to get good margins, obviously, because it's direct to consumer, but still, you can only have so big of sales at a farmer's market, and you may be limited with seasonality and all of that. So definitely have a plan to grow your sales. All right, I think I covered everything in there. Okay, so the fourth mistake is, this is a big one. I got my glasses on to make it really serious. This one is about licensing and regulations and registrations and testing. I think I see this, and I've worked with so many products this last year who have required a lot more testing. This is a really big problem. I think that there is a disconnect between how easy it is to, thank you. Another wholesale marketplace is Genep, Genep, Genep. That's cute. I will have to check that out. Thank you. Okay, back to the serious. So depending on your product may require some testing. May require registering with the FDA beyond just the basic. It may require going to getting some certifications. Depending on your product, you may have to get a county license versus a state license. So I think that there is this disconnect because it is so easy to make food out of your home and give it to people, that it should be that easy to sell it. And that the reality is it's just not. So I've been working with sauces, like hot sauces and condiments that want to be shelf stable, and kimchis. So I've been working with a lot of products that are much more regulated. So, if you have a granola, like my friends over at Just Plain Ola, you got it pretty easy. There's very little testing and regulation, but a number of products are going to require a lot more than maybe what you realize. And so seeking out some advice from myself or a food scientist. I work with a couple of great food scientists I can always refer you to. But things like getting a process authority letter, like if you're a sauce. And so somebody asked about their co-packer, if they're working with a co-packer. So it is product specific, whether you have to, your co-packer should have registered for most things, and they should hold most of the licenses since they are the producer and you're just buying a finished product from them. But every now and again, there may be a couple of products that you would need to register with the FDA for. So it might be a good idea for you to check in with me on that. So I guess what I have learned, I wrote this a year and a half ago, and then what I've learned in a year and a half with working with a lot of products that do require a food scientist, that require water activity measurement, that require pH, better process school, process authority letters, all of these things, not to mention your nutrition facts panel, as well as just having your labels be correct. So please don't underestimate this. This can get you into a lot of legal hot water, as well as getting your product embargoed. So you don't want that to happen. You can get away with it for a little while, probably at a farmer's market. But if you really have a plan to go big and go into wholesale, get into national accounts, your food safety, your licenses, all of that have to be so dialed in. Like, do you have a recall plan? Do you have a HACCP plan? All of these super fun things. So this is definitely where I recommend getting some expert help and paying a food scientist, paying a consultant to help you navigate this. So we have a couple comments here about, let's see if I can, selling is the most difficult. I'm an operations person and totally not a sales and marketing person. So yeah, going back to the plan for sales, I totally understand that. When you're small, you can't necessarily go and hire anybody to wear that hat of sales. I do really think, and I tell all of my brands this, that even if you don't want to be a salesperson, you really need to be the face of your business until you get to about at least $500,000 in sales a year. So I know that's might be a big leap for some of you. But you as the face, you're going to be the most passionate. You're going to be the most knowledgeable about your product. I mean, you started this business for a reason, and you can communicate that passion better than anybody else. There are certainly some help that you could get as far as like delivering and all of that, but you really need to be the person that is doing that face-to-face sales at the beginning. That's my personal opinion, but I think that as the owner, you really have to be the one that represents your product. And then Sun Mountain Pharmacy wrote in that testing licensing is my number one priority, biggest concern, can deal with the rest. Yeah. That's just stuff you don't want to hope that you have figured out, right? So definitely be sure that you're getting all licensed and legit and seeking out some outside help. It's definitely worth. There are things that and I will talk about it in future mistakes here, but there are definitely certain experts that you're just going to want to that you just have to. That's part of running a business. It's a business expense, but that is the responsibility of you as the food brand to make sure your product is safe, that you are meeting all FDA and possibly USDA regulations. So that is just part of running a business, running a food business. I always like to say, if you want to knit scarves, you want to sell scarves at a farmer's market, you can do that tomorrow, right? But food has a lot more hoops that you need to jump through. And hopefully, many of you might be in cottage food states that you can do certain products at home. But again, those are going to be not potentially hazardous foods, very shelf stable, very safe. So depending on your product, expect that there will be some expert invoices that come your way as part of getting your business off the ground. Awesome. Well, I believe I covered everything that I wanted to in this talking about mistakes 3 and 4. Don't forget about the Pricing for Profit workshop coming up on July 16th. The link is in the bio to register for that. It's $97 and you are going to get so much value out of that, especially if you're thinking about going into wholesale or getting onto Amazon. And I'm going to give you my amazing pricing tool that will help you so much to be sure that your product is priced correctly and you're getting all of the cost of goods sold and all of that good stuff into your pricing. Where do I find retail consultants? Savannah, maybe reach out to me, just DM me, and I can give you some ideas there. I'm assuming you're looking for some help getting into retail, that's what that means. But I'm going to wrap it up here, but just DM me and and we can chat a little bit offline. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys have a fantastic 4th of July. I have some, my Live with Food Founders are going to come back next week. And on July 10th, we're going to be talking to Eric with Old Time Vinegar Company. And then I have Katerina from Havenly Baked Goods coming on. So tons more of those conversations coming your way, as well as more of these talking about the top 10 mistakes. So I hope to see you guys soon and have a great 4th of July.